Think about it. How many times have you heard people tell you to give up on something because it was too hard or not possible? How many times have you thought, even for a split second, maybe they're right, maybe I'm not cut out for this? But let me tell you right now, the difference between people who succeed and those who don't isn't talent. It's resilience. It's being able to take the punches, get back up, and keep moving. Imagine getting rejected time and time again, hearing no from every corner, feeling like every door is slamming shut in your face. This isn't just a story, it's the reality for some of the most successful people out there. Jack Ma, the founder of Alibaba, went through this. He wasn't just rejected once or twice, he was rejected over 30 times by potential employers. And these weren't just prestigious companies. KFC had come to town and was hiring a lot of people. Jack applied and was turned down. He was the only applicant who didn't make the cut. Most people would crumble after facing rejection after rejection like this. Start believing the voices that said they weren't good enough, that success wasn't meant for them. But Jack didn't see rejection as the end. He saw it as fuel, as the fire that would push him harder. He didn't let these rejections define him or determine what he was capable of achieving. Think about what it takes to keep going after all that, what it takes to hear no again and again and still choose to believe in yourself. When others kept telling him he wasn't fit, wasn't right for the job, he doubled down. He took every single one of those rejections, every single no, and turned it into a reminder that he would have to make his own path. Those rejections were pushing him to build something that he could control, something that he believed in without the need for anyone else's permission. It's easy to forget now, seeing the massive empire he built with Alibaba, that Jack Massachusetts' journey was paved with failure, with setback after setback. But that's the reality of real success. It doesn't come from the easy wins, it comes from resilience. From taking every bit of rejection and letting it be the very reason you keep pushing forward. Another powerful example is Howard Schultz, the man behind Starbucks. Schultz grew up in a poor family in Brooklyn and had a tough start in life. He was the first in his family to go to college, and he started out in sales, working hard to prove himself. Eventually, he stumbled upon a small coffee company called Starbucks, which at the time was just a single store selling coffee beans, not the global phenomenon we know today. Schultz believed in something bigger, a vision where Starbucks would become a place for people to connect over a cup of coffee. But when he pitched his vision to the owners of Starbucks, they turned him down. They didn't believe in the coffeehouse model he had in mind. So he left and started his own coffee company, pushing forward despite every no he faced. Eventually, he returned to Starbucks and transformed it into the brand we know today. Both of these stories show us that rejection is inevitable. Success isn't about never hearing no, it's about what you do when you hear it. It's about being willing to take each setback, each obstacle, and letting it fuel you. Rejection is the training ground for resilience, for inner strength. It's a reminder that the path to success isn't going to be handed to you. You have to create it, to carve it out from the stone of each failure. It's how you respond, how you pick yourself up each time you get knocked down that determines where you'll end up. Success isn't about who you are on your best days, it's about who you are when everything falls apart. Resilience is what separates those who rise to greatness from those who give up at the first sign of hardship. It's easy to keep going when things are smooth, when opportunities come knocking, when every plan seems to fall perfectly into place. But when failure steps in, when setbacks knock the wind out of you, that's when the real test begins. Those who understand that failure is part of the journey, who can see it as a test rather than a final judgment, are the ones who push through to incredible achievements. The real winners aren't necessarily the most talented, the smartest, or the strongest. They're the ones who have the willpower to keep going when others would quit. Take Thomas Edison, for example. He failed thousands of times before he successfully invented the light bulb. It's almost unthinkable to imagine a person going through so many attempts, facing so many setbacks without giving up. But for Edison, every failure was just another step closer to finding a solution. He was resilient enough to see each failed attempt not as a barrier, but as a stepping stone. He often said he didn't fail, he just found thousands of ways that didn't work. And that's the kind of mindset that separates a visionary from everyone else. Edison wasn't born knowing he'd invent the light bulb. He just had the resilience to keep going until he made it happen. Failure didn't define him, it refined him. Oprah Winfrey's story is another perfect example of resilience. Born into poverty, enduring a traumatic childhood, and facing unimaginable hardship, she could have easily let her circumstances defeat her. but instead she used each obstacle as a lesson, as fuel. Early in her career, she was even told that she was unfit for television after being fired from her first job as an anchor. Imagine being told that you don't belong in the very industry you're passionate about. Many people would have walked away right then. But not Oprah. She took that rejection and let it push her forward. She understood that failure is often just a stepping stone, that sometimes you need to be tested to see how much you want something. It's not about avoiding failure, it's about refusing to let it stop you. Oprah turned every note she heard into another reason to say yes to herself. Resilience means refusing to let failure be the end of the story. It means seeing every setback as a challenge, as a test of your character, and of how badly you want what you're after. Failure is the test that asks you, do you really want this? And only those who are willing to answer yes to get back up, to keep fighting, are the ones who ultimately succeed. Those who see failure as a test understand that each setback is shaping them, sharpening them, preparing them for the next step. It's resilience that lets you see beyond the immediate failure, beyond the pain of the moment, to the possibility that lies on the other side. It's the ability to weather every storm, to take every blow, and to still get back up, ready to fight for what you believe in. Success doesn't come to those who only look at the highlight reel, who expect everything to go their way from day one. Real success, lasting, meaningful success, is built on a foundation of setbacks, of tough lessons, and of failures. Every iconic figure we look up to today has a story of struggle, of grit, of pushing through when it would have been easier to give up. It's about owning those setbacks, seeing them as part of the process rather than as reasons to stop. True growth and resilience come from facing those low points and deciding to keep going anyway. When you choose to own your failures, you take control of your journey. You're no longer a victim of your circumstances, but an active participant in building your success story. Take J.K. Rowling, for example. Before she became the best-selling author of all time, she was a single mother struggling to make ends meet and dealing with the fallout of a painful divorce. She had hit rock bottom, living on welfare, feeling like a failure in nearly every area of her life. And yet, even in those darkest moments, she clung to her passion for writing, pouring her heart and soul into a manuscript that had been brewing in her mind for years. She faced rejection after rejection from publishers 12, to be exact, who didn't believe her story would ever succeed. But instead of giving up, she decided to keep going, to own her story, her dream. And because she kept pushing, Harry Potter went on to become a global phenomenon, inspiring millions of readers around the world. If Rowling had given up when she faced rejection, the world would have missed out on her work and her impact. Another powerful example is Walt Disney, a man whose name has become synonymous with imagination and creativity. Yet Disney's path to success was anything but smooth. He faced multiple bankruptcies, failed business ventures, and a series of rejections from companies that didn't believe in his vision. Early in his career, Disney was even told that he lacked imagination by a newspaper editor who fired him. Imagine that the man who would go on to build an entertainment empire was once told he wasn't creative enough. But Disney didn't let those setbacks define him. Instead, he owned every failure, every mistake, using them as fuel to keep going. He turned his vision into reality because he believed in it so strongly that he was willing to push through every obstacle in his way. Disney's setbacks didn't stop him, they sharpened him. Owning your setbacks means embracing every hard lesson, every mistake, and using them to become stronger, more resilient. It means understanding that these moments aren't dead ends, but stepping stones. When you take ownership of your failures, you're choosing to see them as part of the journey, not the end of it. It's about facing the discomfort, the embarrassment, and the doubt that comes with falling short, and refusing to let those feelings hold you back. When you make the choice to keep moving forward, to use those setbacks as a foundation rather than a wall, you build resilience that can't be shaken by any external obstacle. Every setback becomes a building block, each one adding to your strength, your character, and your determination. It's not just about reaching a goal. It's about becoming the person who can face every challenge, who isn't afraid of failure, and who owns every part of the journey with pride and purpose. Success doesn't come from waiting for permission. It's not about sitting back and hoping someone will see your potential and give you a break. Those who achieve greatness don't wait for doors to be opened for them. They go out and build their own doors. When you look at the stories of some of the most iconic figures in business and beyond, you'll see that they took control of their own paths. They didn't let obstacles stop them. And they certainly didn't wait for someone else to hand them an opportunity. Instead, they went out there and made things happen, refusing to wait for the right moment or the perfect conditions to start. Think about Steve Jobs. He didn't come from a place of privilege or have a perfectly smooth path to success. In fact, he was a college dropout who started his company, Apple, in his parents' garage. Jobs believed so strongly in his vision that he was willing to take risks to create his own path, even when others doubted him. He didn't wait for investors to believe in him or for people to validate his ideas. He put in the work, constantly innovating and pushing the boundaries of what was possible. Jobs took ownership of his vision and ran with it. He made things happen because he refused to wait around for anyone else to give him permission. His determination to create, to push forward without asking for approval, is what led Apple to become one of the most valuable companies in the world. Another powerful example is Sara Blakely, the founder of Spanx. Blakely didn't have a background in fashion or a business degree. In fact, she started out selling fax machines door to door. But she had an idea, a vision for a product that didn't exist yet, and she wasn't going to let her lack of experience or the absence of investors hold her back. She took the savings she had, around $5,000, and invested it all in her idea. She spent years pitching her product to manufacturers, most of whom turned her down or told her it wasn't going to work. But Blakely didn't wait for anyone else to tell her it was possible. She pushed forward, doing the legwork herself, creating her own opportunities and finding ways to turn her vision into reality. Today, Spanx is a billion-dollar brand, all because Blakely refused to let her lack of resources or experience stop her. The message here is simple. If you want something badly enough, you have to go out and create your own opportunities. Waiting for someone else to see your potential or give you a chance will only hold you back. Successful people take control of their lives and their dreams. They don't wait for a green light. They move forward with confidence and create their own success. They understand that the only permission they need comes from within. Every step forward is fueled by their belief in themselves and their willingness to work through the obstacles. Failure is often viewed as something negative, as a sign that we've reached a dead end. But the reality is that failure isn't the opposite of success. It's a critical part of it. Those who achieve greatness understand that failure is just the beginning, a stepping stone that provides valuable lessons and insights. Every time you fall short, you gain a new understanding of what doesn't work, which pushes you closer to finding what does. Embracing failure means seeing it not as something to avoid, but as an essential part of growth, a powerful teacher that sharpens your skills and builds your resilience. Consider the story of Henry Ford. Before Ford revolutionized the automobile industry and became a household name, he faced bankruptcy and multiple failed business attempts. His first two car companies, the Detroit Automobile Company and the Henry Ford Company, both failed. But instead of letting these failures define him, Ford used them as learning experiences. He saw where he went wrong, understood what needed to be improved, and kept pushing forward. He realized that each failure was part of the process, a necessary step to creating something better. With each setback, he got closer to his goal. Eventually, he succeeded in establishing the Ford Motor Company, introducing the Model T, and transforming not only his own life, but also the lives of millions. Ford's failures were the foundation of his success. They taught him resilience, persistence, and innovation. Another powerful example is Arianna Huffington, the co-founder of the Huffington Post. Before her success, she faced one rejection after another. When she wrote her second book, it was rejected by 36 publishers. She could have easily decided to give up on writing, but she didn't let the rejection stop her. Instead, she kept going, using every no as motivation to try again. Years later, when she launched the Huffington Post, she faced significant criticism from people who doubted her ability to create a successful media outlet. She didn't let this failure or the early criticism shake her. She saw every setback as a chance to improve, to get stronger, to redefine her approach. Today, the Huffington Post is one of the most well-known online news platforms in the world, all because Huffington didn't let failure be the end of her story. She saw it as a beginning, a chance to grow and evolve. When you view failure as the beginning of something powerful rather than the end, you open yourself up to endless possibilities. Each setback becomes a valuable lesson, each obstacle an opportunity to refine your approach and strengthen your resolve. It's this shift in perspective that transforms failure from a source of fear to a source of strength. The truth is, every successful person has faced setbacks, rejections, and failures, and they've used them as fuel to keep going. So the next time you encounter failure, don't see it as a stop sign. Embrace it as a part of the journey, a stepping stone to the success you're working toward. Let every setback be the fuel that drives you forward. Remember, failure isn't the end, it's just the beginning of something greater. Keep going, keep growing, and let failure be the foundation of your success story.